News has come out that former Toronto Raptors superstar Kawhi Leonard could be requesting a trade from the LA Clippers, so we'll break that down, including another candidate being named in the Toronto Raptors head coaching search, and it's been reported that Giannis is unlikely to extend with the Milwaukee Bucks this summer. So lots of stuff to break down. Without further ado, let's jump to the first topic of discussion, and the first thing we're taking a look at is Kawhi Leonard requesting a trade from the LA Clippers. Now, this is it's coming from an interesting source, a guy that has been tied to Kawhi Leonard, especially during his time with the Toronto Raptors, and it's none other than Skip Bayless, who's coming out and basically saying that Kawhi may request a trade from the LA Clippers, given everything he's heard, and that's a pretty baffling headline, pretty baffling take to come from Skip Bayless, but he's saying from his sources, and obviously he's not that locked in guy like an Adrian Wojnarowski or one of these dudes, but he is a guy that's around NBA spheres. He's been connected to Kawhi. His camp talks to them every now and then, but I don't know. Kawhi Leonard requesting a trade from the Clippers after he's barely suited up in any playoff run for them. The only real playoff run he's been healthy was his first season immediately after the Toronto Raptors championship. So it'll be an interesting scenario. Now, I'm not worried about how this affects the LA Clippers because once this headline popped up, a lot of Toronto Raptors fans said, hey, if Kawhi Leonard's requesting a trade, could he potentially be en route returning to his former stomping grounds in the Toronto Raptors? And while that would be a cool fit, while that would be a great return for the Toronto Raptors, right, to bring him back to this team, I think that's very unlikely going to happen, right? The Raptors are sort of more in a developing direction. Now, Masai Ujiri has said he doesn't want to completely nuke the roster and go tank mode, so maybe if he did have the opportunity to flip some assets for Kawhi, go right back into contending mode, even though Kawhi, you're taking a big risk on his current situation health-wise, right? It would be an interesting fit, but if you look at the current rosters, if you're to whip up the trade machine, right, it's really tough to make a package work unless you're willing to throw in a Pascal Siakam, right, make the money go on both sides. OG Anunoby, like Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., and Jakob Poeltl are all free agents. Those are all our big money guys. Maybe the Clippers are going to be so done with Kawhi at this point that, hey, they'll say, just give us OG, just give us some young talent, but I don't think we'd be able to outbid some of the other teams in the NBA. I mean, we don't even have next year's draft pick to really trade up unless we can trade that top 6 protection or selection that we have on there. So it would be cool to see Kawhi reunite with us, but if he were to actually hit the open market, if he were to make a trade request like he did the last time and the Raptors were able to swoop in, I don't think we'd be actually positioned to pick him up. But let me know if you guys would like to see, only real possible, I feel like if we traded Siakam for Kawhi, would you guys be wanting to do that, even though Kawhi's the better player, right? Injuries are a much bigger concern with him. Let me know in the comment section below. But the next thing we're taking a look at is another candidate in the mix for the Raptors coaching position. Now, we heard this initially reported, right, when all the Ime Udoka talk and everything was happening, but, Patrick Mutumbo is a guy, he's been with the Toronto Raptors organization. He used to coach the Toronto Raptors 905, and he's a really good development coach. He's a guy that a lot of people seem to love within the organization, and news has come out from Josh Lewenberg after we got the Woj bomb that popped out yesterday. I don't have my usual studio set up here, right? The Woj bomb that indicated that we're basically going after every single assistant coach in the NBA, including Becky Hammon, right? Chris Quinn, right? Fernandez, Charles Lee. Anyone you can think of, the Raptors are going to be interviewing, and it turns out, we heard initially from Shams this guy would be in the mix, but Josh Lewenberg is throwing it back out there so people will remember his name, but basically saying that, responding to the Woj comments, responding to that Woj list, saying another name I've heard a few times recently is Suns assistant and former Raptors 905 head coach Patrick Mutumbo. Right, and we can see the other candidates that we broke down in yesterday's video: Kenny Atkinson, Charles Lee, Kevin Young, Mitch Johnson, Jordi Fernandez, Darko Rajakovic, or I'm going to need to figure out that name if he gets hired, Chris Quinn, Becky Hammon, Adrian Griffin. So it won't be a speedy process. So, people were a little bit shook, and I saw a couple comments regarding it on our comment section as well as on Reddit when Woj gave out that list that Jerry Stackhouse and Patrick Mutombo weren't listed from the main guy, the main insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, but Patrick Mutombo is definitely going to be in consideration, and is a guy that, I didn't mention his name in that list yesterday because he wasn't named, but I'd be really cool with bringing him in, right? We're looking for development pieces to develop guys like Scotty Barnes, to develop guys like Pascal Siakam, right? Our bench guys, Precious Achiuwa, right? If we keep Gary Trent Jr., him develop OG Anunoby into potentially becoming a star on the squad, right? Patrick Mutombo can definitely do that, and he's also has a savvy, like he's not one of those coaches that are just for culture building and development. He knows what he's doing, drawing plays. We saw it with the Raptors 905. He's well regarded by all the people that have been watching those 9-5 teams. It was kind of devastating when he left us for the Warriors, and now he's with the Phoenix Suns. So definitely happy that he's in the mix for this coaching search. As Josh Lewenberg sort of said, it's not going to be a speedy process. It's not going to be something that's going to happen overnight. So we'll see what ends up going on for the Toronto Raptors coaching position. But who would you guys like to see the Toronto Raptors hire? Let me know in the comment section below. The final thing we're talking about in this video is not this one. Giannis not extending his contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. So this one is pretty interesting, right? I'm not playing the Giannis watch. Turns out that the audio we had in that animation was actually copywritten. So unfortunately, we don't get the graphic popping up here. But Giannis Antetokounmpo, news has come out from Brian Windhorst that I think it's unlikely that Giannis extends his contract this summer. So Giannis obviously re-signed with the Milwaukee Bucks on one of those big deals back, 4 years ago at this point. Broke the hearts of a lot of Toronto Raptors fans, as there was a lot of people holding out hope that Giannis would end up becoming a Raptor in the year 2021. That year he ended up winning an NBA championship with the Milwaukee Bucks. So unfortunate stuff there. But Giannis Antetokounmpo, right after a horrific, an embarrassing first round exit that he had this season with the Milwaukee Bucks, right? Things don't work out. If he doesn't sign the extension, which I don't imagine anyone really expect him after this horrible playoff run they went on, if he doesn't sign that extension this summer, and then things don't shake out the right way for the Bucks, this upcoming season, could the Raptors be back in the mix? Could we turn our franchise around, keep the cap space open to bring in Giannis, for the future? Keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled for 2025, 2026, 2027. In the next few years, if the Bucks continue to fail Giannis, putting the right pieces around him, especially the head coach spot, right? Maybe he could be on the market, and the Raptors, the Heat, the Mavericks, all these names that we heard over the past few years could potentially be back in the running. But I made a whole video on Courtside Digest about how I think Nick Nurse will end up becoming the next head coach for the Milwaukee Bucks. And I know a lot of people are low on Nick Nurse at this point, Raptors fans that watch this entire season. But if Nick Nurse got a handle, right? He had that quote when he got brought in with this Raptors team initially, and Kawhi Leonard was on the roster. He had all this talent. He said, if you're being gifted a Ferrari, you have to drive it like a Ferrari. And Nick Nurse tried to drive the 2022-2023 Toronto Raptors like a Ferrari, and he broke the engine. We broke down. It got all messy and stuff, but team with Giannis, Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, all those guys, all those dudes they have down there with the Milwaukee Bucks. He's going to drive that thing, and I don't know. I'm worried to play against a Nick Nurse-led Milwaukee Bucks team for the future seasons coming forward. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about all of these weird situations that are going on in the NBA right now. Doing this, recording this video from a hotel room out in rural Newfoundland, out here in the basketball tournament. So, hopefully the audio's not too bad. Lots of sketchy stuff with the audio and the production probably over the next couple days. But appreciate all you guys for watching this far. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.